Hi, Chair. We have quorum if you'd like to begin at any time. We just have two members that haven't joined yet.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 4:01 p.m. Moving on to item B. If there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof, you can make that statement now or when the item arrives on the agenda. Seeing nothing, we are going to move on then to item C, approval of the agenda. Our motion is that the agenda be approved as presented. Is there a request for variations or revisions, to the agenda? Seeing none. Oh, Councillor Torrance.
I'm just curious. One of the things that we know we'd all have to declare pecuniary, many of us would be the Legion. It's not on the agenda. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I was fumbling trying to find the agenda. Sorry.
I just wanted to say that Michael, I'm not a Legion member. I think it was indicated on the notes that I was, but I'm not.
Yeah, and I do have that. I'm going to make that note in a few minutes. Thank you, Nate.
Thanks.
So I'm looking for a mover and a seconder for the proposed agenda. Gary? And a seconder, please. Jay, all in favor? Moved. So moved. Thank you. That is approved. Now we'll move on to the minutes and just noting that there was a request to revise the minutes to remove Nate Kennedy Mould from the discussion regarding pecuniary interest, as he is not a Legion member. Are there any other revisions to the minutes? Councillor Torrance.
Michael, the municipal law allows you to declare pecuniary interest as soon as you recognize that you are in a position of interest. So I would like to declare through the minutes that I was in the last meeting in a position of interest and did listen to the discussion, but I was still a part of, as we have heard from our legal opinion, I was a party to that discussion. There was no motions coming out, but I was in a pecuniary interest. So I'd like to declare that at this time.
Thank you, Councillor Torrance.
I guess if that is the case, then I would also fit that category.
Thank you, Jay. So now I'm looking then for a mover and a seconder for the minutes as amended. Sandra? Seconder, please. Councillor Torrance, all in favor? So moved. Thank you. So that was approval of minutes. Then we move to delegations. So I'm going to do a little preamble here. We're talking about the Pinehurst Heritage Designation request of 39 Carr Street, Elmont. Before we start with the delegation for this meeting, I thought I'd provide the committee with some procedural items with respect to delegations. A delegation is, Janet?
Sorry, Michael.
This meeting is being recorded.
I need to mention that I have a pecuniary interest because I'm a member of the Pinehurst Committee.
Okay. Thank you, Janet. A delegation is allocated 10 minutes to present to the committee. After the presentation, I'll ask the committee if they have any questions. Debate between members is not permitted during the delegation. Any requests raised during the presentation by the delegates will be considered at a later date and time. Following the question period, I will put forward a motion to receive the information. I'll now welcome Sandra O'Hara as the spokesperson for the neighborhood group to present their request to designate Pinehurst.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, I'm getting a bit of an echo here.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for hearing our request for heritage designation for Pinehurst, including the buildings and the property. Pinehurst is a significant property because of its unique location, architecture, and history, and merits protection through heritage designation. The Pinehurst property was once known as Brookdale Park. The historic waterfront residence was built in 1890 by Bennett Rosmond, owner of the Rosmond Woolen Mill, one of the largest textile mills in Canada. Following Rosmond's death in 1910, Pinehurst and the mill passed to his nephew Alexander Rosmond. It is one of the few residences designed by the renowned architect Henry Langley in this part of Ontario. The estate covers 10 acres and is characterized by 2 private waterfalls and a grand sloping lawn. No changes have been made to affect the site over the years. Pinehurst has been visited by many famous Canadians, including 2 governors general. The main Pinehurst house measures 7,500 square feet and features grand reception rooms, 8 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, and 10 fireplaces, with many rooms retaining their original woodwork and stained glass. The library was once the office of Bennett Rosmond, who served as a Conservative Member of Parliament when Sir Wilfrid Laurier was Prime Minister. I'd like the next slide, please, if the slides are up there. The Pinehurst Carriage House was used by R. Tate Mackenzie as a temporary studio where he created the bronze statue of the Volunteer, which forms the stunning centerpiece of Almont's War Memorial. Alexander Rosmond's widow commissioned the statue after Alexander died near the Battle of Ypres in 1916 during World War I. In the community context, Almont is a community renowned for its well-preserved 19th century architecture and history as a textile hub. Pinehurst serves as a notable example of Victorian-era industrial wealth. Rosmond homes have cultural significance in Almont because of their owners' importance to 19th and 20th century commerce in the area. Could we have the next slide, please? Frequently used as a filming location, Pinehurst has featured in over a dozen films and is often referred to as the Downton Abbey of Almont. Architectural information. Pinehurst is typical of the late Queen Anne style, reflective of artistic, non-traditional homes of the period from 1880 to 1910. Its condition is considered good. What we're seeing now up on the screen is a view of Pinehurst from the river. Before that, we saw one of the waterfalls on the property. The exterior of the property, Pinehurst is built of Perth sandstone, trimmed with Nova Scotia sandstone and roofed in slate. The gatehouse, carriage house, and greenhouse were added in 1894. The overall dimensions, as we mentioned, are 7,500 square feet. It has a stone foundation, wall construction, finish and color. Sorry, I'll have to close the door here. Wall construction, it's made of Nova Scotia red sandstone, Perth white sandstone, red clay tiles, cedar shake shingles, and original slate roof. There are cedar shakes on the enclosed porches on the first and second floors. There are 3 chimneys, each with several flues, and the roof is the original slate. The interior, there is a grand foyer with imported English tiles, handcrafted wood ceiling, sweeping staircase with spindle work, marble fireplace, crown moldings, stained glass, and wall and floor ringer system for staff. Bennett Rosman's office has a built-in desk with wood paneling, a fireplace, and pocket doors. There is also a sunroom and patio with views of the river, waterfalls, and forest. The documentary evidence. The ownership history of Pinehurst spans from its construction in 1890 by Bennett Rosman to its current role as a private residence. David Shepherd purchased the land from the Crown in 1823. He sold the land to Daniel Shipman in 1839. Shipman then sold the land to the postmaster of Almont, James Wiley, in 1854. Bennett Rosman bought the land in 1883 and built Pinehurst in 1890. He lived there until his passing in 1910. The estate remained in the Rosman family following Bennett Rosman's death in 1910. The Rosman family's ownership of the property effectively ended in 1952 when the family sold their remaining mill interests. In the late 1950s to the 1970s, John and Mary Taylor lived at Pinehurst. The Reben family owned the property from the early 70s until 1996, when Keith and Penny Blades bought the property. They then sold it to Patrick and Dee Ashby in 2009, and the Ashbys currently own the property. Could you change the slide, please? The historic context. Date of construction, 1890. Bennett purchased the property in 1883, locally known as the Point or Brookdale Park. The architect was Henry Langley of Langley and Burke Architects in Toronto. There have been no additions or alterations. Historical events and persons connected with the structure. R. Tate McKenzie sculpted the Volunteer, featured at the Almont Cenotaph. The artist stayed and worked in the property's coach house, which we saw a picture of. Bennett Rosman was the reeve and mayor of Almont and Conservative MP for Lanark North, elected in 1891, re-elected in 1896, and again in 1900. The Rosman family were pivotal industrial leaders in Almont during the 19th and early 20th centuries, effectively establishing the town as a major Canadian textile hub. The arrival of the Brockville and Ottawa Railway in the 1850s was a critical driver for the rapid expansion of woolen mills in Almont. Could you change the slide, please? So this is Bennett Rosman when he was a member of Parliament. And then the next slide, please. This is a postcard. I know you've all seen this material, but it's interesting. He's clearly very proud of his property. He's written this postcard to his cousin who lives in the States, and it's dated 1905. That's the end of our presentation. And in closing, we hope that the Heritage Committee proceeds with heritage designation for this very significant property in Almont. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, Sandra. Does the committee have any questions? Jay.
There, fighting with my audio. Sorry about that. Thank you very much, Sandra, for the presentation. I'm wondering, has there been a formal statement of significance done for the property? It seems like it's a prestigious property, and I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't already achieved this designation.
I don't think it's come up before as a question. I mean, this was our first crack at it, so I don't think there's been any movement in that direction up until now.
Thank you.
I don't know if municipal staff have anything they want to weigh in on that for a response.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So I will just clarify that there is a current planning application for the subject property. At the advice of our heritage consultant, it was determined that you are unable to proceed with designation while there is an active planning application for a subject property. So we're currently unable to pursue designation until the other planning application is resolved.
Thank you, Drew. Councillor Torrance.
Well, I think my question was much the same as Jay's, is that this is a beautiful gem in our community. I think we would all agree, and is worthy of heritage designation. And I'm just curious, over the last however many years since we started designating buildings in Ontario, has there never been an application before this committee, or has there never been a move by either owner or municipality to declare this as a heritage property?
Certainly not to my knowledge.
Yeah. And I don't think that, Michael, that I'm not asking, I'm just putting that question out there, and I would, maybe staff will be able to bring it back to us at some point. But it is curious that there's never been an application before.
Thank you, Councillor Torrance. Sandra.
No, I'd just like to know, if the planning application goes through and it's approved, how does this affect the going forward with the heritage designation? Does it mean it can't go forward?
Drew?
Through the chair, from the advice of our heritage consultant, I would say we don't have a definitive answer if there are any roadblocks after the planning application's been resolved. So certainly, I believe it's still on the table to pursue designation regardless of the outcome of that application.
Thank you, Drew. Nate.
I have a general question. So if there were a heritage designation in place already and this application came forward, how would that impact what they can do on the land? Like how I'm a little naive in learning the system in Ontario, but does that completely block any development from happening there, or does it have to happen a certain way, or
not necessarily from my understanding. It just gives more time for some guidance and some leadership from advising of the committee. But I look to Drew and or Sally for some comments on that. Go ahead, Sally.
So I know this is hypothetical, but just for the information of the committee. So if it was flipped and the property was now designated and there was an application on the property, then if the application was to change any of the heritage attributes that would be described in a statement of significance, then an application to alter under the Ontario Heritage Act would be required. So for example, if I've seen the planning application, which is currently going through. It's not finalized, but I think one version has an addition to the building. So that addition would have to receive permission under the Ontario Heritage Act, and it would have to complement and not negatively affect the heritage character and attributes of the building. Similarly, if landscape elements like the forest or the waterfalls were affected, then you would have to, and this is all hypothetical, nobody has said they're going to change those things, just going broad strokes. So if the landscape was to be dramatically altered and part of that landscape is given as a heritage attribute, like say the waterfalls or the bridges or anything were included as an attribute, then an application to alter would have to be sought and received, and then the person processing the application would have to determine that what the proposed interventions respected the heritage character of the building. And so that is if it had been designated first and now and then being changed. So so that's it in a nutshell. Happy to clarify if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Sally. Josiah.
Could maybe just to clarify, we've been saying it's not designated. The property is also not listed on the register.
No.
But Sorry, just to jump in, not being listed on the registry doesn't actually mean it's any more or less important. It just means it's not been listed on the registry.
Yeah.
Because the significance of a building doesn't flow from what a municipality says it is. It flows from the intrinsic heritage value of the property. So we can say it's a heritage building because it is, but it is not a protected heritage building. So.
Mhm. Sandra.
And I gather that the interior of the heritage designation doesn't cover the interior of the building either, does it? So
no, that's incorrect. If the interior of the building is listed as one of its heritage attributes, then it is protected. So in a case like this, I haven't been inside the building, I've been outside the building, but in similar cases, when say there's a very beautiful hall, then the statement of reason for designation would say the front entrance hall and its woodwork, etc. It's not. Interiors are not frequently designated, like in a simple house that's just, on, I don't know, Church Street or something, or like the building that we're looking at. But if it has sort of an architect designed high, not even architect, but it has a high style interior, then that can be included in the designation. And in the statement of significance, it would have the house, the grounds, and the interior, and they would all be enlisted. And then if there was a major change to the interior, that would then require an application to alter, which is, so what you don't usually see is like a kitchen or something, because a building still has to be used, but sort of a stately, a ballroom or a staircase, there is absolutely no reason ever that those cannot be included in a designation. They are all eligible to be included.
Thank you, Sally. Any other questions? If not, I'd like to move the following motion: that the Heritage Advisory Committee receives the Pinehurst Heritage Designation request as information. I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. Jay and Josiah. All in favor? So moved. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Sandra, for the presentation.
Thank you very much.
And for all the hard work.
Thank you. And for all your hard work. Thank you.
So now I'd like to move into F, staff reports and heritage applications. We're looking at the Heritage Register proposed designation of Sneddon House, 198 Church Street in Elmont. I'd like to start by taking a moment to recognize the owners of 198 Church Street, Alex and Elizabeth Gillis, for their exceptional stewardship of this important heritage property. For more than 37 years, the Gillises have shown remarkable care and respect for the Sneddon House. Through thoughtful conservation and ongoing maintenance, they have ensured that key heritage features such as the stonework, windows, and gables remain well preserved, allowing the home to continue as a great example of an Ontario cottage. They have also shared this heritage home generously with the community, opening their home for events such as Doors Open Ontario and local tours, helping others appreciate Elmont's rich history. On behalf of the Heritage Advisory Committee and the Municipality of Mississip Mills, thank you to all the heritage property owners for their dedication to heritage conservation. I'll now welcome staff and Sally, heritage consultant, to present the proposed designation for 198 Church Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be giving the presentation on behalf of staff. Just going to share my screen here. And if I could get a thumbs up from someone when they can see it on their end. Excellent. So the property in question today is 198 Church Street, or otherwise known as the Sneddon House. Just as a quick overview for committee as well as listeners at home, the Heritage Register is a formal listing of properties to be considered for designation under the Ontario Heritage Act. Certain protections that come with being on the register, such as a requirement to notify when there's an intent to demolish a structure, Recent statutory changes requires municipalities to clear their register by the end of 2026, either designating those properties or removing them from the register. Designation under Part 4 being individually designated based on its cultural heritage values requires council approval, which includes notice of intent to designate as well as passing a bylaw. The subject property is outlined here in blue. It's located at the corner of Church Street and Country Street. It features a detached dwelling as well as a detached garage. It's generally surrounded by low-density residential uses. Also, municipal staff have consulted with the property owners, and I, of course, would echo the messages from the chair regarding the Gillis's stewardship of the property. When considering designation under the Act actually gives us criteria to consider. Based on staff's review, we are of the opinion that the subject property meets 5 of the 9 criteria described. And I'll give you a quick overview of each. Criteria 1 refers to the property having design value or physical value because it is rare, unique, representative, or early example of a style, type, expression, material, or construction method. As stated by the chair, this is a good representation of an Ontario cottage, which was a popular housing type in the 19th century. What makes it a good representation is it's a 3-bay built form, 1.5 stories with a gable roof and a gable over the main door. Within that gable over the main door, we can see an elongated window with an arched top. Criteria 4 refers to the property having associations with a theme, event, belief, person, activity, organization, or institution that's significant to the community. So the house itself was built by a member of the Sen family, which is a prominent family within the community. It should be noted that the Sens were actually one of the first arrivals from the British Isles to the community. Criteria 5 refers to the property having historical or associative value because it yields or has the potential to yield information that contributes to an understanding of the community or culture. So specifically, the home was built at a time when the community was going through a transformation, going from a tiny community to a textile industry. What tells us this is that this period of time features an agglomeration of uses that would then make it attractive for a farmer retiring to town, such as the member of the Sutton family who built the home to actually come to Almonte. The next criteria 7, refers to the property having contextual value because it is important in defining, maintaining, or supporting the character of an area. So as I previously mentioned, it's located at the corner of Church and Country Street. Church Street's an important neighborhood just located to the southeast of our historic downtown. What makes this contribute to the overall residential character of the neighborhood? If you've ever walked down the street, you'd probably know that it's lined with 19th century and early 20th century homes, and this fits into that character. And criteria 9, the property has contextual value because it is a landmark. Country Street's a main corridor within the town, serving as a key access to Almonte. Given that the property is located on that corridor, it's a well-known historic building. And that concludes my brief presentation. We are recommending to committee that council issue a notice of intention to designate the property. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Drew. Sally, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't. It was a great pleasure to meet the property owner and also to have the opportunity to undertake some history on this building, which is, a very important Almonte building.
Thank you, Sally. Does the committee have any questions? Seeing no, Gary?
Just a quick question. I didn't get the date it was built.
1860.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe building on that question, it was built in 1860. Am I right that it'd be a very early example of an Ontario cottage?
Not really. The Ontario Cottage House form had, it sometimes with a non-gable roof, but it had been around in the starting as early as the 1830s and 40s when Regency cottages were popular in southwestern Ontario. So, and the actual, the actual house form with the 3-bay front was brought in very early iterations. It's a house form that they brought from Scotland, so it was often built very early. But you are correct that in the 1860s it was being further refined. It was, but the sort of, it's a very classicist form and very symmetrical, and that had been around for a long time. And usually, but at the time, if you were leaving your log house and building the next house, whether it was in the city or a town or whatever, this was the form that you would use. So it became more popular as immigration increased. But I wouldn't say it is early, but not very early. It lasted throughout the 19th century as a house form.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I was connecting it to the Canadian farmer popularized it, which would have been 1860.
Yeah,
but it was popular before then, I guess.
Yeah,
I was
the
missing
basic
that.
form was popular before then, but I link it to the Canada Farmer in my big report, and it certainly that brought it into people's minds, and then and it was an easy way to build a house, and there were plans around. But the form was there beforehand. But Canada Farmer, which started publishing at about the same time, really helped spread it across the province.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Alex.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, Michael, Elizabeth's here with me now. She didn't hear your fabulous comments at the beginning. Thank you. Thank you very much for the recognition. I just wanted to point out something, that the property was purchased in 1866, October the 26th, by William Snedden. And it was built, the house obviously was built after that. So it's somewhere over 1866, 1867. It's not 1860. So, anyway, that's according to the register for the town of Almonte.
I could have made a mistake. It's completely possible. And it happens a lot. I'm just trying to see why I said that with such yeah. So I've got my report on my phone since I don't have two screens today. If it's, I'm looking at the statement of cultural heritage value that I wrote. It doesn't seem to have a date, which is odd.
Your executive summary says 1866.
Oh, it does?
Right.
Okay, so I was completely wrong. Yeah, so 1866, that's its date.
And it was purchased by William Snedden. You referred to a member of the Snedden family, but really it's William Snedden's place. He lived there for about 36 years, I believe.
Yeah, that certainly comes out in different my document, and I'll make sure that the statement of cultural heritage value, maybe Drew, you and I can remember to add William instead of just a member of the family when it goes forward to council.
Yeah. So
it does say William Snedden right there in the second paragraph.
No, I'm just talking about the briefing done by, I think it was Drew.
Oh, okay. Well, the official document, which will be registered on the title, does have the correct date, showing I was wrong with the 1860 and William Snedden. So that's just for the information of the committee. When I was, the heritage attributes are listed in the document called Description of Property on page 25 of your agenda.
Yeah. So anyway, I just don't want to say anything else other than I sat on the Heritage Committee for years, and even on a committee called the LACAC, which probably some of you don't know what that is. But perhaps Jane Torrance knows what it is. But anyway, to thank you all for your work. It's an important job. It's a very important job for the heritage of the community, aptly called the Heritage Committee. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex, for keeping the property up so well. You and Elizabeth have done such a great job in this house, as well as other projects in the community to recognize the heritage of Mississippi Mills.
I'm going to be phoning you on the River Walk later, Jane. I've got a real issue there for you. Partly heritage. Sorry, that's enough. I'll be talking the rest of your meeting if you don't shut me up.
Thank you, Alex. We have the recommended motion that the Heritage Advisory Committee recommends council issue a notice of intention to designate 198 Church Street under Part 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act, similar in effect to the Statement of Cultural Heritage Value in Attachment A. I'm looking for a mover and a seconder.
Is that part 4 or part 5?
Yeah, part 4. Sorry,
Part 4.
I get stuck with Roman numerals. They're not a daily thing. Apologies. Janet, and a seconder, please. Gary, all in favor? So moved. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Alex and Elizabeth. Now moving on to business arising out of the minutes. A letter of support for proposed Heritage Helping Housing Grant. I just want to note that following the March meeting, Council passed a resolution supporting the Heritage Helping Housing Grant. The attached letter from the Mayor was also sent to the Premier and MPP expressing support. Then moving on to G2, we have the 2026 Ontario Heritage Conference in Hamilton, June 18th to 20th. So the registration is now open. For the conference taking place in Hamilton this June. We have had some interest from committee members in attending. As the committee budget only allows for 2 attendees, the committee will need to discuss and determine who should attend. And I know Gary has definitely shown interest. And is there anyone else who would be interested in potentially attending that conference? Jay? And Nate?
Michael, I'd also like to say, since I went last year, obviously if there's 2 people who want to go, then I think I'm just clear. So if I did still want to attend, I guess I could pay myself.
Yes.
Okay.
And is there anyone else? Otherwise, we note that we have 3 that are planning to attend, and we could certainly, from the budget, cover Jay and Nate, if that works.
I'm also willing to cost share as well if others are interested.
Okay.
Same here, Michael.
Okay.
Really, whatever's easiest for the group.
So I will leave that then to Councillor Torrance.
Well, maybe Melanie can talk to the 3 who are interested, and I'm really glad there is interest, and maybe take the full amount and split it 3 ways after we put in the municipal money, and see if there's any other money in the budget. Is there someplace else we can pull some from our heritage budget, Melanie? I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys, but I think that it's wonderful we've got the interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely wonderful that we have the interest, and for sure we'll take a look at the budget and see if there's 3 attendees, what we can do in terms of figuring out some costing.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad we got 3 people going. That's excellent. Now moving on to H, council business. Councillor Torrance, do you have any updates you'd like to provide to the committee?
Oh, this has caught me off guard again, Michael. How does that happen? We have a special meeting tonight at council, looking at OPA 28, which is the rural vitality for the villages, and I think it's actually something that well, I don't know if it's a heritage matter, but I do think that we should be aware of it, especially if we are going to think about expanding the boundaries to villages in the next OPA amendment. And because I was quite interested in the presentation that was given earlier because of the land that's involved in it. And so if we expand village boundaries, what does that mean if there are heritage properties on the edges, and so anyway, that's just what I'm starting to think about for heritage, putting a heritage lens. I'm trying to put a heritage lens on what we discuss at council. Anyway, that would be all. I think there's likely to be a good online contingent watching what we're doing tonight. It's also, there's a lot of question around rural severances, and I don't know that that's of interest. It might be of interest to heritage members, but it's certainly of interest to the community. So that's all I will talk about today.
Thank you, Councillor Torrance. Jay.
Yes, thanks, Chair. Your comments there, Jane, got me thinking. There's a lot of discussion right now around Alto and the light rapid rail. Would heritage properties be up for expropriation under those circumstances?
What a great question, Jay. I don't think it's one that we've considered because there has been no route established. It's just a giant swath of property that it may or may not come, It's like I'm feeling just a tiny, not a lot, but tiny bit of alignment with the Alto group, just thinking how difficult it is to do public engagement. You put something out with they have no answers and they're asking for some public input. If they had done it the other way around, we'd be like, everybody's all over them now. They'd be all over them if they did it the other way around, if they put in established route. It's like you can't win sometimes with public engagement, but there's certain, and this is such an important project with so many. I think there could be quite a few losers, and so I hope that heritage isn't one of those. But we would have no way of knowing right now if that would be the case.
Heritage properties can be expropriated like any property.
I think the last time, remember, Sally, I went to that online heritage discussion. It was an open house kind of thing, and they talked about the heritage property in downtown Toronto, that they had expropriated it and to build a subway underneath it in downtown Toronto. And it was a heritage committee from Toronto talking about that they weren't very happy with that decision. So.
Thank you for flagging that, Jane. It's something that we can kind of keep an eye on as things progress. So then moving on to the public information for phase 2 of the 5-span rehabilitation in Pakenham. A Lanark County public information session for the second phase of the 5-span bridge rehabilitation will be held at the Pakenham Library on Thursday, April 16th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Municipal staff will also be there to answer any heritage questions. Heritage Committee members are welcome to attend the session to represent the committee and or answer any questions. Then we move on to meeting announcements. The next Heritage Advisory Committee is scheduled for May the 6th. As the next meeting is shaping up to be rather fulsome with the Heritage Designation report, staff are suggesting postponing the walking tour to a date in June or July, when we can do a walking tour as a committee training session instead of coordinating it with a meeting. More information will follow. I would like to now note the meeting is now adjourned at 4:44 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.